Hello everyone and welcome back to the Retro Recall. I hope you're doing awesome, as always. Today we have the IBM ThinkCentre PC from 2003, and I believe this was in the last year or so when IBM switched to Lenovo, indicating Lenovo had purchased the IBM ThinkCentre, ThinkPad, that sort of line, their computer division, and started moving and rolling out with the ThinkPads and ThinkCentre, and everything would have been branded Lenovo. And so I had seen this particular system on the marketplace, online marketplace, and it was a seller up here in Canada. And I said, hey, I'm going to take a risk here. Can you ship it to me? Did the transaction and said, can you please ship it to me? It'd be great to have. And sure enough, arrived in excellent condition, excellent packaging. So thank you so much. So there are still really good people out there. So if you're watching this, thank you so much. And I'm so happy to do this. Now, as you know, I'm a fan of the IBM line. I have several ThinkPads in my collection, I have some IBMs in my collection, but not in the tower form factor. I have some desktops. And so this is one that I really wanted to get my hands on. When I saw it, I wanted to just kind of do an overview of it. So let's go ahead and get right to it. And we're back with this beautiful IBM ThinkCentre PC from 2003, stretching 2004 at the very latest, the very earliest or latest, I would say, early 2004. And like I said, it's just great having this in the collection. I have, as you know, several Lenovos, as I have mentioned, and ThinkPads and what have you, and they've been around for a long time. IBM's been around for a long time, and their systems have, just great to look at, great systems, well built. Home consumer market, but also the business line of their PCs have just really been cool to see and go over and experience. So we'll go the top to bottom here. We'll look over the PC and just see what we have. We have a DVD multiplayer and a CD-RW, so a DVD player, reader, and CD-RW. I'm not sure if this is original to the machine or not, but definitely cool to have. And then we have more expansion here for another optical drive or of the like. And then we have what looks like ventilation of some sort. But I'm sure you could take that out for an extra 3.5-inch drive if you wanted to, or, zip drive or some other sort of media expansion. And then here we also have the 3.5-inch floppy drives. Standard drive in behind, but we have the IBM type proprietary bezel here as well. So we have our power button, our power, and our hard drive activity lights. Pretty standard, pretty common on all machines, obviously, but each manufacturer has their own style. Then down here we have this little indentation on the side here with 2 USB ports that's sporting on the front. Very handy for if you have some quick devices you want to plug in and not have to crawl in behind the system. So nice to have that as well. The thing missing from the front, obviously, again, arbitrarily, depending on what your use case was, would be some audio connectors in the front as well. We have the Intel Inside Pentium 4 sticker with HT on the side here, so hyperthreading. So they were advertising Intel at the time, indicating when they had a hyperthreading processor. So definitely nice to have there. And on the bottom here, it feels like there's some ventilation underneath for the system. Let's flip it around the side and look at the kind of like the side profile. So you can see that the system is designed differently for sure. It's, the system's angled up in the front here. Again, just a design choice for sure by their systems or by their designers. And, this system is in wonderful shape. There's no dings, there's no scratches. Again, it was well packed when it was shipped to me to go across Canada. So thank you again for doing that. We have Windows XP Professional license key down here for 1 to 2 CPU. So this would have been probably used in some sort of office or work environment. Professional generally was. And on the back of the system, we have piles and piles of ports. All right. So we have the power supply here, and it does look like a standard power supply, which is nice. I know IBM's been noted to have proprietary power supplies for their various systems over the years. But I mean, if this truly is swappable, it's nice. I just recently came across an HP Compact that I'm struggling with at the moment. The power supply is not standard, so I'm going to have to do some either replacement or get it rebuilt. And then we have an extra fan that's here as well for additional cooling, which is nice. Not all computers have this. We have a lot of systems, I find, that have the space for one, but never actually come with one. So it's nice to see that in there. And we have what looks like some additional expansion possibilities here for breakout headers that would come with breakout cards. You just punch these out and put them in and screw them in accordingly for additional expansion. So on the back here, we have two PS2 ports. We have a serial. We also have our parallel port here. We have our VGA built on graphics, so that's clearly what that is. No idea what it is yet, but we have that on the system. We have 6 USB expansions in the front and the back here. So we have 2 plus 6. We have 8 USB natively without having to do any sort of expansion cards. That's all built onto the system. So definitely nice to have. And I don't know if they're USB 1 or 2. We'll have to explore that. We also have a built-on Ethernet. I'm not even going to guess. I've been wrong all the time. 10100 gigabit, no idea. We'll find that out later. We also have our standard audio ports here. We also have what looks like 4 expansion possibilities based on the board that's here, but we'll have to look inside. We also have a punch out here. Now, I don't know if what that exactly would be used for, whether it would be for additional expansion, running wires through and into a back of a sound card. If you wanted to have a front kind of audio controller or what have you, you run, a grommet through here. Or was it ever used for liquid cooling if you ever had to do that, that sort of thing. And so that's that. That's the expansion on the back. Now, I'm just looking at this little lever here. They claim to be a really toolless design on this machine. So I'm just going to pull that little lever here. Not pull. Okay, we'll push that. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. So push just completely took the front off of the front bezel off the system. So let's take a peek at that now. So we took off the front bezel. All right. What's this do? I see little blue marks here. Does that mean this can come out? Yeah, sure enough. Look at that. So complete full access to replacing your hard drive, literally as easy as that. You don't have to open up the cage or the case. Just it's SATA, obviously by the SATA cable and SATA power. You pop those out, you slide this. Yeah, this slides. Look at that, slides right out. You replace the drive and you pop this back in, and boom, you've just replaced. No, I'm saying that, but I don't have the wires all in right. There we go. But yeah, you pop that in, you pop the bezel back on the front, and bam, you are good to go to town. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool, I will say. But I do want to take off the case. Now, I do see a side panel here with a little thumb. Does that mean, yeah, sure enough, that's what it is. So there's a little thumb like indentation here. I just pushed in, and it allows me to access the inside of the system. Again, all toolless so far, so I'm loving that. Now, I'm not a fan of all toolless designs, for sure, but nice to see in this system. Now, as I had mentioned earlier, the system is all angled on the front here. You can see that, even though the chassis itself is straight up. But they've adapted for that with their design here. So, I mean, the drive, you can see the optical drive is on an angle shooting up that way. And same thing with the floppy connector here, so floppy drive. So definitely, optical illusion when you're staring inside of it for sure. So let's take a good look at the inside of this computer. We definitely have quite a bit of wires here. So we have a mix of IDE and we have a mix of SATA here. So this was kind of that era of IDE supporting legacy devices as systems were migrating over to SATA. So you can see the wires just kind of hanging everywhere. There's no real rhyme or reason. Nothing's kind of like managed by any means. So here we have an expansion cooler that was installed. I don't know if that was installed from the factory or if that was installed after the fact. We also have looks like a speaker here, and it's quite large. So it does have a couple wires running to it. So definitely interested in trying to utilize the system without plug-in speakers, like external speakers. So there's our hard drive. It's nice that it has one. It's nice that it was left in the system and not removed. I imagine the seller would have wiped this and reinstalled just a fresh install of some sort of operating system on the system itself. We have 4 bays here of memory. I think it's DDR memory. Again, we'll have to find out when we flip it on to see what exactly is installed in terms of memory. We have our processor and the clean, like it's very clean in here. The system is very clean. Yes, there's a bit of dust laying around the outlying edges, but nothing major at all. And we have AGP expansion, which is nice. And we have 3 PCI slots here as well. So the AGP expansion gives us definitely some ability to upgrade the graphics in this system, potentially try out a couple games to see how it would run on the system. And again, it depends how much RAM is in the system. So I just don't want to turn the system on today. Let's pop in, see if we can find an AGP card here and see if we can pop it in and, you know, get some extra graphics going. But again, we'll see what's built on the system first. But everything looks to be in really good shape. I mean, I love the IBM branding right on the motherboard itself. Revision 2.4. I'm not sure if this was in the capacitor plague, as it were, back in the day. But when I'm looking through the actual system here, I'm not seeing any of the caps, any of them bulging. Well, nope. Okay. It's just an optical illusion there. So both of those are fine. Usually around the heat sources, like a heat sink or something blowing right on the cap, sometimes I find that they would go first just by use, but I'm not seeing that here. So they're looking to be in really good shape by the looks of things. Actually, this cap right here will need to be replaced. I'm seeing it right now. It is bulged out. Let's see if I can get a good zoom in angle on that for everybody. Let's see if I can get down there. So I don't know if you can see that or not, but that cap, yeah, so this cap right here is bulging out nicely. It's getting ready to go. So that's definitely going to need to be replaced, which will involve us definitely taking some time and dismantling this entire system and replacing that cap. And I have a second cap here. Yes. Well, we're going to have some work ahead of us here. So we have 2 caps here on the board that definitely need some TLC. So I'll just look at those values, make sure I have them in stock, and do a future video on them. I will be honest, we did those 4 Dells, the quadruplets, in the previous video, and if you haven't checked that out, please do. That's an amazing video. Came across 4 great systems and went over them. But I was lucky. I checked out the caps on all those visually, and it seemed to be okay, and they turned on all fine. I'm sure this will turn on just fine as well, but I just need to be mindful of those 2 caps and not to do any damage. So we do have 2 IDE for the optical and or hard drive interface, and we do have 2 SATA there. So nice expansion capabilities on here. I know we have the floppy connector up top here. Do we have a second floppy down here? I would say, I don't know. It looks like it is based on the header, but I'd have to look at the schematics just to see what it is exactly used for. But definitely cool to have this all on board. We've done enough on the inside. It's good to see. I'm glad we checked out the caps. There's additional caps up here in this back right corner that I can't exactly see easily with filming and all that good stuff. But just knowing we have 2 bad caps, we'll make sure we address those in a future video. Let me get this put back together and get the rest of the system set up on the bench. Just before we get set up on the bench, I was just about to close up this system or this panel, and I thought, no, we'll leave the panel off because I want to see if those 2 capacitors do anything. I found this, and this answers my questions. So if we flip it around to kind of match the orientation of the system itself based on the way we're looking at it, here's the floppy drive connector, as I mentioned in behind earlier. And if you go down here, it states daughter card with tamper and RFID connectors. So there's that connector that goes across, and I think it's supposed to like clip in there. So this system does not have that card, that daughter card, installed on there. And my Pentium 3 system, IBM Pentium 3 system, has one installed. And, you know, that's what was giving me a lot of problems as well. So definitely cool to have that as an option. And I'll be honest, it's great to see this on the side panel to have that configuration versus having to look it up. And it comes with all the instructions on how to actually access everything that we've just shown on the channel already. Enough of that. Let's jump right to the system. Okay, here we are all set up on the bench, and you can see it came as a complete system, which is even nicer. And like I said to you, I saw it online on Marketplace, and I just thought I'll take a chance. You know, I don't generally see these types of full systems in the wild, so definitely cool to have here as part of the retro recall. Okay, so I plugged everything in and the monitor's flashing orange, amber, waiting for a signal. The system powered up and powered down. It does the typical IBM thing of just, hey, you know, I'm going into some sort of standby mode. It doesn't actually boot into anything. So I'm going to hit the power button and turn it on. And I left the side of the panel off. The panel's right there just because, you know, if we have any cap issues, I want to, you know, see it, smell it, know it. I'm sure I'll know all of it if it does, but essentially just to capture that here. So let's hit the power button. So far, so good. I'm going to hit enter to see if I can bypass. Is it enter, escape? Usually when it comes up like this, it says hit enter to bypass the regular startup. Love the IBM logo, ThinkCentre, and Intel Pentium 4 all on one screen. You can't beat that. We're going to go into F1 for the IBM BIOS utility. So here we are. And I just love the monitor, the IBM flat screen, flat panel monitor, IBM mouse, which is a ball mouse, no less, and running PS2. So it does keep the 8 USB ports free. And then we have an IBM French keyboard, French layout. So system summary, we have an Intel Pentium 4 running at 2.8 gigahertz, which is amazing. CPU bus speed is 800 megahertz. System memory is running at, system memory is 2 gigabytes. The memory speed is 333 megahertz. Dual channel, which is great as well. And we have an Intel integrated active video, so 865G graphics chip. So it is on board. We'll have to take a look at that and see what it can do. And then, so we have fan 1 operating, fan 2. So it does have hardware monitoring detection. We have disk A is 1.44. We have our CD-ROM drive, and we have a 1 gig SATA drive installed. So that's pretty good. So you can go up to 32 megabytes of memory if you want to share that. I am doing that just to see if that does or how that works for this particular system. IDE drive setup. So I mean, this is pretty standard stuff. You know, audio is built on. Network support is enabled. It doesn't give me any information on the actual speed, but we'll see if we boot into Windows if it does. If there is, in fact, Windows on this, as you have seen in my other Dell videos, there were Linux installed. So I have no idea what's installed on this. I don't remember actually from the ad, to be honest. Startup sequence, pretty straightforward. We're not going to go into that too much. I'm going to exit this. There's nothing more to see really in here today. We go over a lot of BIOSes on this channel, so we don't need to spend a lot of time going through that today. Let's see what pops up on the screen for an operating system. System is starting. To interrupt normal startup, press enter, and that's what we did earlier. So that's how we were able to get into the BIOS. And from there, it gave you a little menu. You could actually go and choose the startup option. You want to use a CD or DVD or floppy or what have you. Apparently, we have a French version of Windows 7 Professional. I said Windows XP because that's the license on the side of the system. And so, again, having Windows 7 on here, not bad. Pretty cool. Okay, so the sound is kind of turned down low, but didn't sound terrible. So I'm just going to move that a little bit closer so everyone can see. And yeah, so it seems that, I mean, we have a picture on here. I'm not going to dig too deep into the system just because of the personal information may be on this. Okay, so we have standard computer, keyboard, audio controller. So we have SoundMax integrated digital audio. So that's wonderful. USB, we have several USB, but it looks like it doesn't really give me an indication what it is in terms of USB 1 or 2. I imagine it's USB 2. Standard IDE controllers and floppy disk controllers. Okay, so there's our Samsung drive, our disk. So that's our 1 gigabyte ATA device. Pentium 4 CPU running at 2.8 gigahertz. It's only set up as a standard VGA card, even though we know it's an Intel integrated graphics card. So I wonder if it gives us any setup here option. Yeah, it doesn't give us much options, to be honest, probably because the drivers are just showing the standard VGA. So it definitely needs some TLC. I mean, we do have the ability to add an expansion card. Coming up with Windows 7 on this system is not terrible. We haven't done anything with Windows 7 in the past. I mean, it does have a Windows XP Professional key on the side of this system. And I'll be honest with you, I'd like to keep it that. I might revert it back to Windows 7 or Windows XP, actually install Windows XP on this system. I think for the era of this computer, Windows XP Professional would be pretty fantastic. So I'm going to get my Windows XP Professional disk out, utilize the CD key that is on the side of this system because it is professional, and we'll be right back with the installation complete. Okay, we're back to the desktop with a fresh copy of Windows XP Professional, which is absolutely awesome. It just feels really good on this system. Now, let's just check out the actual properties, device manager, and all that to see what's installed. Let's click on device manager. Okay, so our Ethernet controller, multimedia audio controller, and VGA controller needs some drivers. The rest all seem to be just fine, courtesy of the courtesy of Windows XP Professional. So give me a few minutes, I'll get the drivers installed, and we will move forward. Okay, so now I have all the drivers installed, no problem. Courtesy that Lenovo keeps all the old drivers on their website. Didn't take too long. And yes, I'm aware of Snappy Driver Installer and a few others. I just haven't done it yet. I will soon. But yeah, we'll have a little more of a comprehensive look here. But before I do anything else, I'm just going to go into the properties here and change the graphics to 800 by 600. Give everybody a better view of the screen this way. Just easier to see, I find, on camera. Okay, so under display adapters, we have our Intel 8286 5G graphics controller. This is the one that was built on the system. And for the disk drive, I want to call it again, it was the Samsung HD, so it's the 1 gigabyte drive. I know I went through this earlier, but I just wanted to be a little more firm in what's going on because some of it was in French. It was just harder for me to point and click and figure it out. So under network adapters, we do have a gigabit Ethernet controller that's in this system. And of course, our sound is the Sound Max, as I indicated earlier. Okay, so I think the next step to do before I do any more modifications to the system, I'm going to run PC Mark 05 on the system just because I want to kind of see if it gives a score. I want to see if I can potentially upgrade the memory. I don't know what I have for this system, so I can't promise that just yet. But I definitely want to add in a dedicated graphics card since we have that beautiful AGP slot in this system. So what I'm going to do is click on Select. I'm going to tell it to run the test suite and graphics test suite as well. And you know what? We're going to run everything. It's going to say it's going to take 34 minutes to run. But you know what? Let's do it, and we'll get a full kind of score here. Now, you guys won't have to go through all of this. I'm going to let this run, let this do the testing, and we're back with the results. Let's go. Okay, and we're back, and we got a PC Mark score of 2164. CPU is 3651. Memory score is 3703, which may change if I'm able to locate some different or better memory. Graphics score is 521. Hard drive score is 6001. And so I wasn't able to locate any memory just yet. I'm going to look for that as these tests take about 35 to 38 minutes. But I was able to locate a video card, a dedicated graphics card, which we're going to put in here, which we have used in another build before. It is the FX 5200 AGP 8X 128 meg card with TV out and DVI. So I'm going to go get that installed right now and run another benchmark to see where we stand with the upgrade. Okay, we're back to the Windows desktop after I installed the NVIDIA video card, the FX 5200. Let's change the resolution back. It automatically bumped it up for us. We have 800 by 600 again for everybody, just so it's better on the screen. We're going to open up PC Mark 05, and it should pick up the video card this time around as well. And we'll be able to run the second PC Mark scan. And I'm going to keep the RAM the way it is for now, just because I wasn't able to locate any 1 gig sticks. I was hoping to increase the memory slightly or get some faster RAM. I believe this is 333 RAM, and I had 1 or 2 oddball sticks, 400. And Anyway, it wasn't enough to make a difference. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to get that in the future, but I do see the graphics card. We were able to get approximately, I think it was 500 and change on our graphics score and 2100 and change for our PC Mark score. I will show them at the end of the sequence on the screen here so that everybody sees that. I'm going to go ahead and select my tests again, and this time we'll do everything just again. Same idea, 34-minute run. We'll hit OK, and we'll be right back with the results. Okay, and we're back with the results. Yeah, we got 2381 now instead of 2100. I think it was. I'll post them on the screen there, of course, so everyone can see. But we had 2164 before. Now we have 2381 PC marks, and the graphics went from 521 to 649. So we definitely got an improvement for sure in that area. I mean, could we do better? Yes. Better graphics cards, of course. Definitely an improvement for this system, which unlocks it for the ability to play some games that may not have been able to be played otherwise. Speaking of games, let's test out a couple games in the system and see how it works with the new combination of the dedicated graphics running on our Pentium 4 2.8 with the 2 gigs of memory there. Now let's get some things installed. And here we have Unreal Tournament 2004 running absolutely flawlessly on the system. We have all the textures, the graphics details, all the different feature sets enabled on this game, and absolutely not one bit of slowdown, and quite enjoyable to play. Very good graphics for sure. So let's continue on.
Mars 3D is a smoke-free facility. Please smoke only in designated areas.
I'm
Thank you for
here
your
because
cooperation.
there seems to be some very serious problems.
Oh, really? Do I need to...
And here we have Doom 3, and again, another game that runs quite well on this system. Mind you, I did have to put it at the high setting for all the graphic details on this particular game, not the highest. So I'm one level from the top, and it is definitely quite playable, but it struggled a little bit here and there on the highest setting, so I just took it down one notch, and it was definitely playable for sure.
Attention, Dr. Braddock, please report to Environment Management Office for
Sergeant
Alpha.
Kelly ASAP. He's in Command HQ.
This is Delta Flight Academy. I would like to request another security team here in Delta.
Took your sweet time, Marine? Now, here's the situation. Another member of the science team's gone missing.
And there we have it, the IBM ThinkCentre Tower PC running Windows XP Professional Edition, which is what would have come with this system back when it was manufactured. You know, we were able to upgrade the video card on the system, giving additional life to this computer, and I'm so happy to have this in the collection. And ultimately, what we'll do in another video is work on getting those 2 caps fixed on the motherboard that are, you know, getting ready to kind of go. They're bulging a little bit, so it'd be good to get them replaced so it doesn't cause any sort of leakage or damage to the components on the inside of the computer. Now, that said, if you liked today's video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button, and turn it to all. You'll be notified when I make new content. Please comment down below. Let me know what you thought of today's video. Did you have any of these types of systems in your family growing up? Always happy to share this content with everybody, and I always happy to reply to everybody that I can. Always making new content. Thank you to everybody for the support of the Retro Recall, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.